it's been 5 years since the UN 2030 agenda through SDG 14 Target 6 entrusted the WTO to take action to eliminate by 2020 fisheries subsidies that contribute to overfishing, overcapacity, and also what is known as IUU fishing, illegal or unregulated or unreported.
I think what we need to look is the SDG 14.6 deadline, which is 2020. And 2020, we still have until the end of the year. And we really hope that we restart as soon as possible the negotiations. It is important that in our negotiations, if we want to succeed, we need to focus on the mandate that we have. And the mandate that we have is to discipline and to eliminate harmful subsidies.
But the good news is that I've been hearing delegations, as we already heard Ambassador Joao, that we should still aim at delivering a meaningful result by 2020. But I'm confident that with hard work, we'll still be able to make it this year. The bad news is that fish subsidies have not stopped, and fish stocks are not likely to have improved very much just because fishing was restricted in some places for a few weeks. So the reality is that despite most of our attention turning to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is important to remember that the whole point of the negotiations has not changed. Certain forms of subsidies continue to encourage overfishing and overcapacity. Illegal fishing has not stopped, and without a WTO agreement, this scenario is not going to change anytime soon.
Most of the subsidies actually goes to large-scale industrial fishing boats. About 80% or over 80% of the total subsidy goes to large boats. Again, only 20% goes to small-scale fishers, which is where I think we should use public funds. This is where the communities are. This is where we have malnutrition and so on and so forth.
The WTO's job is to address the subsidies that governments pay to support their fisheries industry because it is long established that these payments contribute to overfishing. The proof of the pudding is this: if all of our subsidy programs were so good and beneficial, our fisheries management so effective today, the state of global fish stocks wouldn't be so dire.
We must not lose sight of the fact that the leaders and the minister's objective for 2020 on fish with 14.6 remains. And there were a lot of suggestions at that point that we might use the mechanism of a special General Council meeting towards the end of this year to conclude the negotiation in time with the leaders' objective.
The task. And I believe it is in bringing all members together. And that said, though, reaching an agreement will depend on members' willingness to compromise and ensure sustainability.
The current situation in the world's oceans is dire, with 90% of the world's fish stocks as fully exploited, overexploited, or entirely depleted. And the United States stands ready to help bring these negotiations to a successful and meaningful conclusion in December 2020, if others at the WTO are willing to go along as well.
And civil society can play a critical role in spreading the message and that ensuring that marine sustainability is in the collective interest.
There is a clear need not to incentivize overcapacity and overfishing, to deal effectively with IUU, which is a plague, to confirm that we are really determined and ready to work seriously and as fast to achieve a success in these negotiations by the end of this year.
So we have an opportunity to use every single day that we've got from now until December, however many that is, to account for the fact that it's going to be much more difficult to transact business, to start now, use all those days and still potentially get that job done as we must for sustainability reasons by the end of this year.
What we need to do is to finish the job that we have already started 20 years ago.